They are angry at some other group, whether it's politics, religions, geography, or any type of organized group. Each group has targets they hate. All this hatred means nobody will ever be able to get along. The news about your polarized society. The daily news is filled with hatred, country against country, a political party against their opponents, sports teams who hate their rivals, and companies that people hate but are still in business. Why is there so much hatred in your world? It's because people, countries, political parties, and religions were originally designed to be polarized against each other rather than looking at their commonalities. Okay, Ray, let me know what's going on, who's got questions, but go ahead.
We have a few. Kathy, Kat, and they're coming in. More coming in.
You guys bring your questions. Write your questions into the feed so we can get this thing going, all right? But this is really about the separation, division, and isolation that we were all fed from the time we got here, okay? So here we came in as a new person, a person still connected to where we came from, all right? And everyone in this world was already acclimated to this world in their separation, division, and isolation, trying to convince you that you need to step up your game and you need to comply and join in with the mass consciousness here on the planet, all right? We came into this world with this mindset already in play, all right? So that's what's wrong. That's what we're trying to overcome. That's what the bad information that everyone got that needs to be examined now. It needs to be looked at. It needs to be questioned. It needs to be countered, okay? And it needs to be written down. My Guided Journey, this is the journal, the companion journal to Guided. It needs to be documented what happened, because you really can't solve this until you see it written down, until you see it on paper and go, oh, I see it now. I see where I have been stuck. This is a big problem. For the guides to talk about this, and they're talking about the spiritual meanings of whatever it is that they feel we humans need to make a course correction before we run out of time. It's getting heated. Things are getting explosive. Things are getting really chaotic. And it's, they started out with these spiritual meanings the beginning of this year. They told us they were going to do this. And so they must see something coming, that we just can't keep kicking the can down the road, pretending that, we can do this later, or we don't have to be worried about this. We're okay. And that, we don't have to worry about it. But what do we have, Ray?
Well, I have an interesting comment from Joy. Hi, Joy. I asked my guides what to do to break the chains of polarization, and this is what they said.
Good. Now I want you to know what Joy does. Joy uses her talking board. She channels the information and brings it through. Okay, she's learned to master this, and that's how this information is coming through. So go ahead, Ray.
And they said, you're already trying to break the cycle of polarization by not watching the news or staying current with political issues. This is a good start.
Now, that's what her guides told her in her own channeling session, all right?
You can let down your guard and let more people into your circle. The first step is walking in someone else's shoes. You can't always do that physically, but you can imagine how it would be if you were living as someone else. You mean to be loving toward all sides. However, there are times Your own opinions may sway you from one side or the other to the other.
Right.
If your thoughts aren't with love, rethink the situation. This will bring you a clearer picture.
Okay, read that last sentence again. If your thoughts are not...
If your thoughts are not with love,
keep going.
Rethink the situation.
Okay, so what Joy's guides are telling her is if your intention is not derived in love, not the need to be right, not some agenda that you personally have, but open, being open and coming from love, and the most open place you could possibly come from. That, how did that end, Ray, that sentence?
That ended with, this will bring a clearer picture.
That brings clarity. That brings a clear message, not something you wanted to necessarily hear, not something that came from you, but through you. A higher way of thinking, a higher way of operating. That's what that message was. Joy is doing awesome. Joy, that was very clear. You can't channel this information like Joy just did unless you clear out all that stuff in you first. Breathe and really get clear in yourself so that the information, when it comes through, it is clear. All right, let's have the guides comment on what Joy said, Ray. Great information, Joy. And here they go.
You were right about not listening to the news or get involved with political arguments. The news is always designed to polarize people against each other, whether it's politics, religion, race, or a social issue. Listening to the news doesn't make you smarter. It confuses you more.
Yeah. And it really does bring us back to that whole programming that we were prescribed by those who were here before us, whether it's society, our parents, our siblings, okay, to tell us how we're supposed to think, what we're supposed to do, who we're supposed to love. Always ask them for help, the people who were here first, who got it all wrong, all right?
I think it has to do a lot with how do you know when you're being polarized? You know, what happens? What does it trigger? What emotion? When you hear something or you observe something?
Anger.
Anger. Yeah.
That's the first thing you're going to feel. You're going to feel two things: anger and the need to be right.
How about that?
You're going to feel those two things the strongest, all right? So if you feel either one of those two things, you need to pull back. Otherwise, all you're doing is living in this world. You're just here, all right? You're not connected. You're not one with who you were when you came here, okay? So you've got to pull back and get sober with this thing. See it for what it is, not for what everyone thinks it is or wants you to think it is or wants you to agree with what it is, so that you can belong to that group or that religion or that sect, whatever it happens to be, that belief system that keeps you, and I'm going to use these words again, that keeps you in separation, division, and isolation. And that's the problem. That's what this polarized society, that's the quick of it. That if you feel any one of those things, and you probably feel at least one of those three things, then you have been programmed with it. You are affected by it. You are responding to it. You are living your life by it. And that's why it feels uncomfortable. That's why you know something's wrong.
You're right. It is something you learned long before it happened.
Right.
And it just keeps happening.
And you just keep accepting it. because you were programmed to be part of it. Everyone else thought it. Everyone else believed it. Everyone else responded to it. Okay? So if you don't, where are you going to be? You're going to be an outcast. You're going to be all by yourself. Well, not really. Well, it's not real. Sometimes, yeah. I mean, in Guided, I talk about I was definitely an outcast because I was still connected, and I wouldn't let it go because I knew it was the higher way of learning, the higher knowledge. I knew it was more intelligent than what I was watching in this world. All right. So, okay. So, what else do we have, Ray?
Well, let's see. Kathy says, how can we make an impact to change the mindset of the masses? Every day she sends out Reiki energy to the world to help lift the vibrations, but I feel that there should be more that she can do.
Okay. Okay, Kathy, I want to say to you, and thank you for the comment today on today's insight. We always appreciate those. Other people see them, and it does help them. What's happening with you, Kathy, is you're already ahead of the pack. I just want to say that about you. And to be ahead of the pack isn't an easy place to be. You're somewhere where everybody else will eventually find themselves, but while you are already there, you're going to be one of the 10% that it's like the 100th monkey. All right. Once the 100th monkey happens, society seems to just kind of wake up and fall into it, and they realize themselves. They don't have to work as hard at it as you did, or I did, or Ray did. Okay? They didn't have to sit in suspension where we kept waiting for them to be ready. Okay? Where we felt like, oh my God, please, won't society catch up and get it right and awaken and
work itself out.
Yeah. Won't it please just quicken itself, right?
Yeah.
Because it's really hard, Kathy, to be where you are, where Joy is, where Veronica is, where Nina is, where so many of you who follow me are, to just sit there and wait for the rest of them to get it.
Right.
Okay? It's hard. But somebody has to lead it up. And you may not get any kudos for it. I may not. Ray may not. Any of us may not. But we have to move our energy there. You know what? It's not even that you have to do it. You can't help yourself. You moved that way. You were guided to go that way. It was so beautiful, you couldn't stop yourself. All right? So it's not just that you're waiting for the rest of them to catch up. It's that you want to see your family catch up. You want to see your kids get it right. You don't want to see the suffering go on anymore, And of course you don't. There's always that bit of suffering that you feel for the people who haven't caught it yet, But it's getting radical for them, for the guides, for my guides to come through and start this spiritual meanings segment. They see that, we're getting to the end of this thing. We've got to start getting this right. We've got to step up our game. Humanity has to step up its game. Sorry, you guys, I can't soften this thing. It is what it is.
It's our last chance to get it right.
Let's let the guides talk about what I just said.
Humanity has its work cut out for it. Centuries of division must crumble. People must realize that they are all connected, regardless of any differences they perceive. The differences are all illusions that were manufactured to keep people under control.
So what do you have planned to pull us out of this, really, to quicken this?
Sadly, it will take people experiencing more pain in their lives before they give up the need to be right, along with all the anger and hatred.
So the answer to all of us, Kathy, Joy, Nina, everybody who's with us tonight.
Yes, new people tonight, too.
Okay, is to do your own work. I want to say that guided is important. It's really required reading before you get My Guided Journey, but My Guided Journey will move you back into where you got off track and get you back again, all right? I just published My Guided Journey at the end of August. I'm not trying to sell this to you guys. I'm telling you that this will quicken your own path, all right? Because I know it's painful. It's painful to me. It's painful to Ray. This is our work. You know, we should be, we're at an age where most people like us are retired. We can't do it. We see the problem. We want to help. We're doing something about it, you know. So each and every one of us need to step up our game, do something that matters, do something about it, okay? And
well, it's like Kathy, every day sending out Reiki energy.
Absolutely, Kathy.
Perfect.
I know, Kathy. Yep. And Kathy, listen to and stay open to what your guidance is telling you, because your guidance, it's not just about sending out the loving energy and the Reiki energy, which is really good. It's also about listening to that guidance and walking that way, okay? We all have that guidance coming through to us. Whether you believe it or not, that's why this book, My Guided Journey, writing it down, learning, reconnecting, remembering where you came from, part 2, is critical to making that connection and reconnecting, okay? Your guides have not gone anywhere. They've been right there. Go ahead, Ray.
All right. There's some more people joined us. Jennifer, Christy, Mona.
You guys.
Michael, hi.
Great.
And some more comments. Joy says, wow, she sees her family angry and needing to be right over all political issues. Exactly, polarized.
Right, right.
Yeah, it's how they were brought up. It's how they were raised, you know.
And they're scared. I want to defend them in a way. They've been feared into this.
Right.
Okay. First, part 1, chapter 1 of Guided. Fear, the merry-go-round dream. People have been programmed into this fear, and that's the only way you can be controlled. The only way. Once you wake up to the fear, once you take the journey back, My Guided Journey, you take the journey back and you reclaim yourself, the true self of you. As you move forward in this life, in this world, you will no longer be reactive. You will no longer be fear-based. You will be able to take action on the guidance that comes through you, okay? You will actually be able to connect with it.
All right. We have Kat. Kat is new, and she has a great comment here. I rarely watch the news on purpose for this reason, that I know it's polarizing, but sometimes I'm afraid to completely tune out the news. There's a fear in me that thinks if I don't know what's going on in the world around me, it's dangerous.
Kat, here's what I want you to do, Kat. Hear me out. Get this book. I think you probably read Guided, or you wouldn't be with us tonight. Get My Guided Journey and take this journey back in part 2. I'm telling you that whatever's there, you just need to not take it personally, okay? You need to see things for what they are, sober, just like they are, okay? Detached and observant, okay? And then you won't be, when you watch the news, You will be able to do it. Any of you could watch the news and see it for what it is instead of letting it absorb you and devour you, all right? And throw you off your path, okay? This will clean you up. This will get you back. Make the connection again, okay? So that you can live in this world because now you're connected and you can't be sucked back into that again, all right? You can watch the news, you can see it out there, you can observe it, but it won't pull you in, all right?
So Kat's question is, she doesn't watch the news, but she's afraid that she's going to miss something.
I know.
Now, but what do the guides do they have anything to say about that, her fear?
Oh. Let's see how they can do a better job than I did. Okay, here they go, Kat.
You are right in avoiding polarization and wrong about missing out on something important. If something important happens, we will send a messenger.
They'll let you know.
To tell you.
Right, they'll let you know. But you have to be connected in order to receive it, okay? And that's what I'm talking about. You've got to reconnect. You've got to get yourself back, all right? That's what this is all about.
This all goes back to, how did we end up polarized?
We were programmed.
Early on in our life. Okay, now it happens when you're young. It happens in the environment when you're very young, under 5 years old. And that's why my guided journey is important. But just look at the difference. Right now, you and I think a lot alike just about on everything. But we didn't grow up that way. No. You look at the town, look at this. You grew up in a big city in the ghetto.
I did.
And you were a minority in that environment. I grew up in a little tiny backward Ohio town where people of color couldn't even live inside the city limits.
Wow.
So how did I grow? I grew up differently than you as a child.
So what's the point in that, Ray?
The point is, I grew up fearing, people who weren't allowed in the city. Why weren't they allowed in the city? There must be a reason they don't let them in.
That's a serious program.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
I wasn't, in part one of Guided, the name of that part one, there's 4 parts to Guided, is part one is Raised by Spirit Guides. I was doing an interview with Dr. Michelle Cohen in LA, and I'm going to be doing another one with her on February 5th. But when I brought that up to her, she's a psychologist, and she has a lot of psychologists and psychiatrists that come to her show. She's real popular. And I said, yeah, Raised by Spirit Guides. I go, something like Raised by Wolves, because to her fan base, to her base of people, it seems weird. I mean, they're psychologists and psychiatrists. Raised by Spirit Guides? What the heck is that? I may as well have been raised by wolves, right? So
or in a jungle somewhere.
So what Ray's talking about right here, compared to Ray, raised by Spirit Guides, it would be like Linda was raised by wolves. It's crazy, a crazy difference. But
it's just how your environment is just astonishing. How your environment, young, as a little kid, formulates your belief systems that you carry with you throughout your life.
Yeah, but here's what's interesting. How did we wind up together? How could that possibly happen? How does that happen? What happened is Ray realized he was lied to.
Right.
Before we met, if he didn't know something was wrong with this, I never could have had him in my life ever. The guides sent him in. They never would have sent him in. They would have said, nah, he doesn't have what it takes, all right? So, you guys, it's all working for us if we just don't freak out. We don't become part of the problem. We allow ourselves to become part of the solution, getting ourselves back, all right? Bringing these worlds together and not dragging a leg because we're not connected. Okay, that's what's wrong. That's what's wrong. Once you make that connection, this is not about being liberal and being naive and gullible. This is not about that. It's about seeing it for what it is, all right? It is what it is. It's not pretty. It's not nice. It's not working. And we're right in the midst of it. And guess what? I want you guys to all realize this. I don't want you to be afraid of this. We all signed up for this. We are supposed to be here right now. If you are alive right now, and you're here with Ray and I right now, tonight, and you get Linda's weekly guided insights, you're part of the solution. Every one of you, okay?
A couple more emotions I wrote down when you said, what were the emotions that when you're trying to design to polarize you, when you hear something or see something that's designed to polarize you, it's hatred and anger that pop up right away. I also wrote down fear, insecurity, and I also wrote down the need to be right. What are you going to do to dig your heels in? How do you react?
You know, I want to say this. I want to say this thing about the need to be right because I know it's going to touch every one of you when I say it this way. If you're in a loving relationship, what ruins it? Every single time. What threatens that relationship?
The need to be right.
That's right. Over the need to be with that person, over the need to be loving, over the need to be compassionate and caring. The need to be right will ruin it every single time. All right?
Yeah, you get, when you hear something that's polarizing, immediately you think, well, how dare him or her or them do that?
That's the lowest form of operating in this world. It's a waste of time, you guys. Don't even think about going into that, all right? What else do we have before I move on, Ray?
Most people just say they can't watch the news at all. So.
Yeah. You know, just do your inner work, you guys. Do your work. Be true to yourselves. I'm not going to tell you to love yourself, and I'll tell you why I'm not going to tell you to do that. I think that's BS. I think that when you are being true to yourself, you honor who that is, and you are doing the things that yourself wants to do, feels the urge to do. Guess what happens? The byproduct of doing that is loving yourself. You don't go out and love yourself. It's a byproduct of honoring who you are. Okay? And then when you honor who that is and you are who that is, and you are that way in the most beautiful way of expressing it, that's the example you set for the rest of the world. And that's how they get to where they need to be, okay? That's how it happens. It's not something that you preach to them, that you teach to them. You know, I want to tell you that the guides never teach you anything. They present things to you, and you choose to go that way or not. And what you learn from it, you realize, and that's how you learn. They don't teach you. You bump into it. You realize it, okay? They respect you too much to push it on you, all right?
Yeah, how many...
So it's the same thing with you and your example to other people and how this world is going to rise up or they're going to fail. Or this whole society, this whole species is going to fail, all right? I don't want to think that, but, you know, that's really what's on the table.
It could happen.
That's what's on the table here.
It's happened before.
It has happened before. So Ray and I do not take this lightly. I mean, we're here to work on the positive side of this, and I know that you all are too. I just don't want you to get caught up in the pain of it. I want you to stay true to yourself, all right? That's
the whole loving yourself thing. How many spiritual practices and teachers have all said, well, all you need to do is love yourself. That's like saying, I can't swim, but, well, just go out and jump in the pool head first. You'll swim.
I know. There's a better way. Okay. So before the guides bring through their closing message for today's insight, we want to let you know about next Tuesday, February 5th, join Linda Live right here on Facebook. This will be a Q&A and commentary with Linda and her guides at 6 p.m. Pacific time, so don't miss it. The guides will be talking about the spiritual meanings of a breakdown. The world is in the midst of a societal breakdown. All the things that have been implemented on grand scales for countries and individuals aren't working. People's reaction to this societal breakdown, they are scared. They have doubts about their future. Will I survive? Will I have enough money? Have I built an infrastructure around me of people and things I can depend on to help each other? Most people are alone, don't have enough money, and are buried in debt. And by the way, that's not by accident. That's absolutely where you were controlled and maneuvered to go, to find yourself where you are right now at this time in history, in the timeline, so that you would be scared and you would be living in fear. So let's see what the guides have to say about this.
If a society wants to control its people, it will first control the money and then the food.
The food. Say it out loud, louder.
The food. When a government or leader controls the monetary system and the food, there's nothing to do but rebel or starve.
Okay, so what are you going to do?
Yeah.
How are you going to position yourself so you're not a victim of those outcomes? Okay?
All right.
It's easy to do, by the way. There's common sense things each one of you can do, no matter how slim your resources, how abundant your resources are, or even if you think that you don't have to worry about it, you could probably do better. All right?
Here's a good observation and question from Miriam. Miriam's new.
Without being fearful, I want to say. Without being fearful. Okay, go ahead. Miriam.
Miriam. She's new with the group, and she just finished reading Guided. How is it that we can connect with the guides when you work and have all these personal roles you have to play? I hear the whispers, and I ask for the volume to come up to hear it clearer. How is this going to work out eventually? I feel, what am I missing? I'm missing something.
If you feel it, you are missing something.
Right.
It's guidance letting you know, here's what we're trying to tell you, but you can't quite hear it. All right. And the fact that you can't quite, you're missing it. You are almost getting it, but you're still missing it. Okay. Let's let the guides talk to her.
Miriam, try setting aside 15 minutes each day by yourself, somewhere quiet. You must first get quiet and breathe deeply so the panic and anxiety stops. Once you are calm, that's when you can hear the whispers.
That's when you can hear their guidance, okay? You're going to have to really kick it down. You're going to have to find a place where you can take Miriam and get away from all the chaos and the noise and all the distractions. And get this book, Miriam, My Guided Journey, and write it down in part 3. Part 2 is the journey. That's taking your journey like I took mine. Okay. But part 3 is the part where you continue to document what's going on and what you're remembering. It's going to matter. It's going to be important, okay? Not just for you, but for all the people you love, all right? And Miriam, please leave a review for Guided from where you purchased it, okay? It's people like you that help people that are seeking this information that are able to find it, all right? That read those reviews and go, that's me, and I'm going to get that book. I'd appreciate that.
All right.
Okay, so what we're going to do here, great session with you guys tonight. Great questions, great comments. Together, we're going to do this thing, you guys, okay? We're going to raise the bar. We're going to be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. That's where we are. That's what we do for the ones we love. That's what we do for humanity, all right, when we behave like this. So
we told them what we're going to do next week.
Okay, yeah. So I'm going to, let's see, we did talk about the whole thing, right, Ray?
We did.
We did. So now we're going to close the session with their closing message to them, okay, Ray? And this is going to close the message about the spiritual meanings of your polarized society. And here they go. And all your great questions and comments.
When you hear or respond to a polarizing person or encounter of any kind, step back. Do not talk. Just observe what's going on around you. Tell yourself that you will not allow their opinion or belief system they are stuck in to alienate you. If you have trouble doing this, just excuse yourself and walk away. That's a tough one sometimes.
That is, and I have no better words for it than that. The guides, ever since I was a baby, Guided, they put me on a path where I learned not to take these things personally. I had a mother who tried to kill me for 16 years, all right? If I could do that, you guys could pull this off, all right? I looked at things out there. I couldn't embrace them. I couldn't let that family close. I couldn't do it, all right? But because I saw how damaging it was, I let my guides close to me as I moved through this world in 2 worlds and brought it together and made sense of it as I journaled what was going on in my life. This is why I wrote this book. You guys, so thousands of you, readers of Guided, kept asking me, how do I make this connection to my guides? This is how you do it, right here. And once you do this, your life becomes, you're no longer struggling. Your life becomes gentle. You become loving. You become at peace with yourself. You can breathe, okay? And you actually can see things for what they are. You can accept what's going on and see it for what it is and not take it personally. You're not walking around in a pain body, somebody who needs to strike out because you're just in this world and it's painful when you're not connected. Okay.
Well said.
Okay, you guys, next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Same place, same time. We'll see you right here.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.